Mexico is a country full of old myths and tales, and many of the people living here believe in the supernatural. A duende is a fairy or goblin-like mythological creature from Latin American and Filipino folklore. They may also have some traits similar to goblins. The word is often considered to be the Spanish and Portuguese equivalent of the English word sprite. In Hispanic folklore of Mexico and the American Southwest, these are similar to gnome-like creatures who live inside the walls of homes, especially in the bedroom walls of young children. They are known for taking items from young children. They appear at night when children are at play with a ball, and watch the children and later make their appearance and confront the children. This is why many of these mysterious creatures have been spotted when children have been playing football. Not much is really known about these creatures, even though many believe in them. Some say they are evil, while others believe they are actually helpers, suggesting that if you're lost, these tiny creatures will help you find your way home. Although many may brush these sightings off as being fake, it seems that many people across Mexico are encountering these little creatures, with some even capturing them on film. Over the years, many photos have been presented, suggesting that people are actually seeing something. One witness said the following about their encounter. My 13-year-old daughter was outside playing with her friends when she encountered this creature. It was nighttime when her friends were playing close to my house. They would normally play outside for a few hours before going to bed. On this particular occasion, they said that a small creature ran out in front of them. Then when my daughter screamed, it ran off quickly. She described it as being only a foot high, and saying that it was able to run fast. She said that she didn't get a good view of its face, but described it as being dark. I don't doubt my daughter, as there have been many sightings across Brazil. It's the first time my daughter has seen one, and she hasn't seen another one since. They seem to come out at night time, but if you look at them or spook them, they run off. Some people though are not entirely won over. Some have suggested that these are normal animals such as a cat or a dog, or even suggesting that footage has been manipulated. We recently posted about the mysterious booms being heard in the US, but it seems that isn't the only strange phenomenon being witnessed. Residents of Rockwall near Texas were baffled when a mysterious beam of light was seen on the horizon. What's odd is that this giant beam of light illuminated the stormy dark sky to the east. This occurred on the 6th of April 2018. There were many explanations put forward as to why people saw the strange sky phenomenon. The official version for the beam of light was that the sun was shining through a hole in the clouds. However, if this is the case, then the beam of light should have spread to the horizon, and it did not according to witnesses. A photo of the mysterious light was shown on Facebook, and the photograph in question had been taken through the windshield of a car. Some people suggested that the light was a shadow on the windshield on the vehicle, but then this could not be the cause, as the beam of light is seen in the background with other vehicles in between it and the windshield of the car. It was said that perhaps it was a tornado, but the beam of light was not changing shape nor moving. One witness said the following. As I was driving, I noticed this huge light coming from the sky. It caught my eye as it didn't look natural. I had never seen anything like this before. I had my mum in the car and she was surprised as well. The beam of light was very distinct, and it didn't look like the sun coming through the clouds. Another witness had this to say. The light certainly did look weird, but I think I've seen something similar. We call these things God's rays, but they do usually have more light rays. This one seemed to be one giant one. Scientists have come forward with a possible explanation. They have suggested it could be an anti-solar ray. These rays are parallel shafts of sunlight from holes in the clouds, and their apparently odd directions are a perspective effect. However, there are those that don't believe this theory. Some have suggested that this beam of light could prove that God exists, or that is perhaps leading a spirit to heaven, while others have put forward the idea of it being UFO related. But what do you guys think is behind this giant beam of light? Let me know your thoughts in the comments. A few years back, this UFO was captured around 30 miles from Suffolk. Some people have pointed out that it resembles the Rendlesham Forest UFO. The UK's best known and most compelling UFO incident is a series of sightings that occurred in December 1980, and are collectively known as either the Rendlesham Forest Incident or the Bentwaters Incident. The sightings took place near the twin military bases of Bentwaters and Woodbridge. These were bases in the UK operated by the United States Air Force, as part of the wider US military presence in Europe. There were several dozen military witnesses, the most senior of whom was the Deputy Base Commander, Lieutenant Colonel Charles Holt. In the early hours of the 26th of December 1980, two members of the United States Air Force who had been sent to investigate a suspected crashed civilian aircraft encountered an unknown craft, which had apparently landed in a small clearing in Rendlesham Forest, which lay between the twin bases. One of the men got close enough to see strange hieroglyphic symbols on the hull, and indeed to touch it. At some point the craft rose slowly above the trees and then accelerated away at high speed. A subsequent analysis of the landing site showed indentations in the ground forming the shape of a triangle, scorch marks on the side of trees and radiation levels, which scientific staff at the UK's Military of Defence assessed as being much higher than the average background. The UFO was briefly tracked on military radar. 2 nights later the UFO returned, and fired light beams at the Deputy Base Commander and a small team of men who had gone to investigate. It later fired light beams at a particularly sensitive area of the Woodbridge base. Conveniently, the Ministry of Defence UFO files covering the time period of the Rendlesham Forest incident have been destroyed, without proper authorization. Lord Hill Norton, who is chairman of the NATO Military Committee, had this to say: "There are only 2 conceivable explanations. Either a UFO landed there causing the damage, or the United States Air Force Deputy Base Commander Lieutenant Colonel Charles Holt and several hundred of his men were hallucinating." Peter, who captured the photo, said the following: "It moved across the sky from right to left. The Rendlesham Forest UFO was said to blink out bright lights. Some have said that it's odd that this strange-looking UFO was spotted so close to Rendlesham, and believe the UFO may have returned." Legend has it that in 1981 an arcade cabinet called Polybius briefly took residence in Portland, Oregon. But Polybius was no ordinary video game. Many believe that it was a tool of the United States government to test one's mental and physical agility, as a method of recruiting soldiers. Others say that it caused seizures and was probably being tested by the CIA as a brainwashing tool. Many more believe the whole thing was a hoax, while others say it never existed at all. Although most people believe the game to be a hoax, there could be some truth behind it. In the span of a week, 3 children really did fall ill upon playing video games at arcades in the Portland area. There's a medical and logical explanation to how one can fall ill from playing video games, but when 4 different kids get sick within a close time frame of each other, that's how legends can grow. Back in the early 80s, arcades weren't the safe haven that people think they were. There were FBI that came up to Portland area and placed hidden cameras and actually tracked people through their high score initials. So there actually was an FBI raid that some people remember. But then they remember there were these men in black figures that would go there as well. So some say they weren't trying to brainwash kids, but they were trying to keep tabs on the arcade. There are more real-world connections that lie beyond the Polybius myth, notably the CIA's MKUltra program. It's now known that following World War II, the US government recruited Nazi scientists in a plea bargain agreement in what came to be called Operation Paperclip. The former Nazis would be protected under the condition they would develop technology for the US. Over the years this turned into MKUltra, a well-documented illegal experimenting on brainwashing and mind control. Both drugs and electronics were used in such experiments. But if the game did exist, it wasn't around for long. We don't know if the game is true. We don't know if it's linked to MKUltra at all, but what we're realising is that even if it's not, there's still a really fascinating story behind it. The present-day Princess Theatre was constructed in 1886, replacing an earlier theatre that dated back to 1854. Highly valued as Melbourne's oldest theatre, the front of the building is beautifully designed with a lavish interior fitted during renovations undertaken in 1922. However, the theatre's most distinctive feature is the purpose-built sliding roof, which opens to the sky and provides ventilation to the theatre below. The Princess Theatre has hosted a number of well-known performers and stage shows, including the Phantom of the Opera, but this theatre is also home to a phantom of a different kind, one who's chosen to stay on long after his final act. On the night of March 3rd, 1888, the famous singer Frederick Baker fell victim to an unfortunate turn of events. Baker had to descend through a trapdoor on the stage while portraying his character's plunge into hell. However, during this descent, Baker suffered a massive heart attack and vanished beneath the stage. Unbeknown to the audience, Baker was rushed into the theatre boardroom in the hope that he would be stabilised. Unfortunately, there was little anyone could do, and Baker died shortly after. From this moment on, Frederick Baker's ghost took up residence within the theatre. Many present and former staff of the Princess Theatre talk of their own personal hair-raising experiences with the ghost of Frederick Baker. The most common ghostly occurrences within the theatre range from unexplained balls of fluorescent light that hover above the stage and dress circle, mysterious noises within the wings and corridors, and an ever-growing list of bizarre accidents and equipment malfunctions during performances. Many performers who have undertaken shows at the theatre even claim that Baker's ghost has passed them within the halls of the building. However, a great many performers and regular visitors to the theatre have witnessed the apparition of Baker in all his glory. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to subscribe for more videos.